welcome back. Like I promised you, it's time for us to take a look at the stories making headlines on the local dailies. And Julie Masiga is here with me this morning. The gorgeous Julie. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too, Zinzi.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Thank you for making time for coming on the show.
No problem.
So, of course, the first story, which has taken about the first 7 pages, should I say, of the Standard this morning, is still the issue of the Patel Dam. 40 people have still gone missing. Let me just read a few of the numbers that will catch your attention. 14, that is the number of relatives of a single family who died in the raging waters. 14, that's an entire family. 49, the number of confirmed dead as of yesterday. Many more are not yet accounted for. And of course, the government has set up a pay bill, which is 10,000, an account for Solai for the public to donate to victims. What are your thoughts on this? And before even we begin on that, I have one problem. We always set pay bills. And it's good because...
I was about to say that,
yeah. I mean, it's a good thing because as a nation, that shows that Kenyans are very proactive. We did that when it was Kenyans for Kenyans.
Yes.
But what are our taxes used for? What are the organizations that are put in place used for? Has the Patel family come out to say, yes, this is sad and we're going to help the community get back to its feet?
Right.
Julie?
Well, the Patel family has said that they're still coming to terms with the whole thing, right? It's a huge tragedy. They own the dam, so they're going to do something for the victims. I've just read that in the papers today.
Yeah.
So naturally, they would want to do something for the victims. The government, on the other hand, setting up a pay bill is a bit curious to me. Because we have national disaster organizations, more than one. There's ministries, the Ministry of Water, Ministry of Lands, other ministries who are concerned with water and land and disaster, who should come together, first of all, and figure out how this dam is alleged to not have had spillways. I know it's been around for 20 years. 20 of those years it has not had. Are they saying we've never had rains to this level that have caused such almost 70 million liters of water to overspill, you know? So I think the government should step up. I always say this. I don't think we demand enough of our government. Of course, they're not supposed to do everything.
Right.
But setting up a pay bill is not one of the responses to this disaster.
And it cannot always be an answer to when we have disasters.
Right.
You know, this is a conversation that we've been having for the entire week. How Kenya responds to disasters. The Met Department told us, guys, prepare for floods way in advance.
Right.
What did the Kenyan government do about it? What did the National Disaster do about it? There is a bill, a disaster bill, still sitting in the National Assembly 1 year on later.
Right.
So there's still a lot within that we need to do as a nation.
I think even as a people, as the citizens of this country, as voters, as the electorate, we need to be more outraged. Surely when the drought was coming, and we're told the drought was coming months in advance, it came, and we still had to start looking for disaster food to help the people who were affected by it, despite the fact that we had the government and the arms of government and the machinery had months to plan for this drought, and nothing happened. We find ourselves in the same situation here again, where we've been warned there's going to be flood, a lot of rain. And
or
floods.
drought, because drought in itself is still a disaster.
Exactly, but this time around, surely the floods have been almost unprecedented for probably over 40 years in this country. I don't think we've seen this amount of rain. So it's crazy, and I think we should demand more of the people in power, because that's why they were elected.
Now, here is the issue that I've also seen creeping up with this specific issue of the Patel Dam. And it's also on page 7. On page 7 of the Standard this morning, you will see this. The headline update says, Patel, little known farmer, but highly respected philanthropist. Now, this is the other issue about it. Patel has built schools for the community. He made a dam for the community itself. So this is a man, or rather a family, that has been philanthropic to this community, probably even more than the government. So this incident happens. Are you shocked that there's a reason why they haven't come out as a family, as the private investors behind it, to really come out and speak about it? Because then again, look what they've done for the community. It is no means of excuse, by the way, for this specific tragedy and the lives that have been lost. But then you can't even ignore the other side. Patel, at the end of the day, is still a businessman, whether we like it or not. Yeah,
well, the family did speak. And they did say there were allegations, like I was saying, that the dam was unregulated and that it did not have spillways, but they came out to say that that was not necessarily the case. They said this was a natural disaster. It was just too much rain, and when things like too much rain happen, then dams naturally would overspill, right? And they said that they were actually going to assess the situation, the families who were affected, the property that was lost and the life that was lost, and try and do something for the community. So they're not running away from this at all.
Let's hope they keep their word.
They've taken ownership of it. it.
All right. Still on page 6, you will see the DPP has ordered a probe as the Patel Dam drains to look into that. And this is the other thing. Now, this is just generally speaking, not just the Patel Dam in itself, but with dams in Kenya, are they set to standard? You know, the person who is behind it, who makes sure that the regulation body to make sure that it has met the standards, the quality standards, safety standards. People within that area also know how a drill process is done in case of any emergency. Patel Dam, even though it was full, should have had means, should I say, of releasing water.
Yes, spillways, yeah.
Spillways. So, do we have to wait for this dam incident to happen until, for example, maybe other dams need to be looked into in terms of, do they meet requirement standards?
Yeah, these are the questions we should be asking. Regulations. There are regulations in place, there are laws in place that should regulate and structure the way people dig dams, the way they maintain them, who can actually own a dam, because this family actually owns more than one dam. This is not the only one. It's been around for 20 years. Has the government been visiting back to the government? Have the regulators been going back to check that things are going the way they should have been going? But then again, it gives you a clue about how we live in Kenya, where there are some communities which are supported by philanthropists, which rely on private individuals who have their own economy, which are almost extra of the government machinery.
Right, right.
This doesn't mean that people should not follow the law.
Yes.
Of course, this is still an unfolding development. As we go along, we'll see exactly what happened. We'll see how the victims and their families will be taken care of. But these are questions that we should definitely ask in terms of the regulation of dams and everything else in this country that could potentially result in such a disaster.
All right. Yeah. Let's move away from the Patel Dam for a moment and bring your attention to a different story that is making headlines. And it is going to be the basis of our conversation from around 9. Right. Men to continue paying for their rich ex-wives' upkeep. Now, this is just right after a British woman is demanding 9.8 million from their ex-husband, as he has not been paying for her maintenance since 2012. That's on page 8 of the Standard newspaper this morning. Exactly. So men will continue maintaining their working ex-wives after the Supreme Court declined to hear a suit on the matter. What are your thoughts in regards to this upkeep, even after a divorce, and which we will be talking about?
Yes, with the lawyer after this. Well,
yes.
The Supreme Court declined to hear this matter because it's basically a constitutional court. It reviews constitutional questions, and it said that this matter is a family issue, it's domestic. There's something in law that says that when a man marries a woman and he keeps her in a manner that he provides for her in a certain kind of manner, when they get divorced, the responsibility is on him to maintain her in that manner to which she has become accustomed.
What if that woman is also a working woman?
It doesn't matter, because he has been providing for her in a certain way. For example, you married me and I was driving a Vitz and you bought me a BMW. When I get divorced, please, you need to maintain my BMW. This is it's kind of like an archaic law. It's true.
Okay, let me twist things here a little bit, and I cannot wait to hear from the lawyer who we will be having. What if the woman earns more than the husband?
These are the things that now need to be ironed out, because the assumption is that when you get married to a man, he's going to provide for you. And there are very many women who are provided for by men, very lavishly.
Yes.
And then when they get divorced, their lifestyle goes down because the man was providing. So this law was supposed to make sure that that doesn't happen. But what I think, personally, my own feelings, if you're working as a woman, you should be able to take care of yourself. But if you have children with this man, then he definitely has a responsibility to take care of those children.
Oh, no, children is not even up for negotiation, you know? Oh, my goodness.
In terms of men taking care of women, I know the whole thing about, men beat their chest, so the Bible says. Well, the Bible says men are providers, and the law also says the same thing. So if you're going to have to pay for it, tough luck, man.
Exactly. Just like the way Julie has given us her thoughts in regards to that, I want to hear your own personal thoughts. And that is why today on Twitter, on our handle, we're asking you this. Men will continue to maintain their working ex-wives after Supreme Court declined to hear a suit on that matter. Question is, do you think that it's justified for men to continue paying spousal support after the divorce? Already a lot of your tweets are coming in. Please keep them sending, because we're going to read a few of them later on. Let's jump, Julie, to page 12 and page 13. But let me draw your attention to page 13 first, because I feel like that's a bigger story. Raila extending his olive branch to the business group community here in Kenya. I don't want to say this is another handshake, but we're seeing other bilateral talks between Raila Odinga and other communities, or should I say other entities.
Zinzi, the Nairobi business community, do you remember what they represented during the election cycle last year?
Yes.
Not exactly a very pretty picture.
Not at all.
For the visuals, I don't think this looks good on the Prime Minister. It almost looks like he doesn't have, it looks like his lately, it's seeming like his movements have been choreographed. It looks like there is a plan in place and he's just going through the motions.
I mean, come on, Julie, it's definitely a plan in place. I mean,
Yes.
he meets Uhuru, he meets Moi, he meets Kibaki. I mean, with Uhuru, everyone was happy because that showed unity. When he met former President Daniel Arap Moi, eyebrows were raised. You know, I'm sure even Ruto, wherever he was sitting, he was shaken up a little bit. Then he meets Kibaki. I mean, it's all planned.
Now, from there, we come to the Nairobi business community, where there was lots of innuendo and rumor about who they were and what they were doing.
And what they stand for.
So what are we trying to say with this? Are we trying to say that now we've embraced all these bilateral talks? They embrace all elements in society. It doesn't matter what you do, where you get your money from, what your modus operandi is. It makes you wonder what's going to happen in the next 3 months. Nobody knew what happened the handshake was going to happen. But now it's becoming clear that there's lots more that's planned for us that we have really no idea about.
Which, by the way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the referendum, because clearly now things are starting to emerge from that handshake or handshakes. Because now there's a possibility that as a nation we could be going to a referendum, and we just came from an electioneering period, not one, but two times.
The tale of two elections.
Exactly, and here we are planning to make changes within the Constitution to allow other executive powers to, you know, be made space for?
Right. I think if you asked me, in my opinion, I think we will definitely go to a referendum. The good thing is it's technically a vote, so anything could happen. Technically, it's a vote. But I really am affronted by the whole idea of changing the Constitution to accommodate people who want to be in power. I think it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yes, because government is supposed to serve the people. We're not supposed to be serving the government.
People say that we are overrepresented.
We are. We definitely are. And we're making room for more,
Exactly. Those salaries come from Kenya's taxpayers. Who are taxpayers.
Right. And, you know, it's not going to be free. The referendum is not going to be free. The officers they're going to sit in are not going to be free. Their salaries are not going to be free. We're going to pay for all of that. And they're not even consulting us. They will consult us to go and vote, and the outcome of that vote is not even clear.
Even with the in-house struggles within IEBC, if we were to go for a referendum within this year, or even 2022, if we decide to have that election with a referendum, do you have confidence that IEBC will still deliver on a referendum vote?
Zinzi, I have zero. Right now,
It's zero.
I am traumatized. I have zero confidence in institutions. I'm just watching to see what is happening, and I'm trying to figure out who's calling the shots and who's pulling the strings. What I do know is, as Kenyans, we need to wake up, first of all, and be more outraged and figure out how to choose leaders that we actually want. Because we've seen how this current crop of people operate. And there's so many young people, young parties who are trying to grow from the grassroots up. For example, in your ward, you have a ward administrator. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't.
I know it today.
Yeah, somebody told me, I'm like, They're like, the ward administrator is a representative of the government on the ground. So you get his number online from the website, call him or her, tell them your grievances, and that's how the process of escalating grievances to the governor begins. That's one thing you can do today. Find the number and call. And then figure out how government works and engage with it, because you don't want to be pangwad like we're being pangwad now.
That is very true. Let's head over to the Saturday Nation this morning. Of course, again, for them, the biggest story that they're running with is the Patel Dam, mystery of missing 40 in dam tragedy. But let's see what else they have. Now, there's this specific story which you've also aired today, quite a big highlight for Kenya. Kenya sent satellite space in our very first attempt. So Kenya yesterday sent to space its first satellite in an event that took place in Japan and was witnessed by the Education Cabinet Secretary, Amina Mohamed. This is a big win, would you not say, especially for Kenya's aerospace agency?
Definitely. These are the kind of things that we want to be seeing. Science and technology, innovation, education, agribusiness, infrastructure. This is what we need to be talking about, focusing on, and making sure that it grows. Because politicians do what they do, and politics is an animal that we cannot really engage with on a peer-to-peer level. So let's try and move on to things that actually build this country and make it better.
All right. So take a look at page 2 still. Surveillance stepped up amid Ebola outbreak. This Ebola outbreak has been one of the biggest things that even as a continent we've had to tackle. It keeps sneaking in and creeping out. It's contained. This time round, we also see Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala of Tourism and Cecilia Karaoke of Health saying that, you know, at JKIA, Kenya is on its toes, it's on its feet.
It should be. I think there's two or more cases in the DRC of Ebola, so it's been confirmed. So we need to be on our toes. Currently, we also have a polio scare
Yes.
In the country, children are being immunized against polio as well. So yeah, we need to keep our eyes open health-wise. And I think the health is one area where the government responds pretty quickly in terms of outbreaks and epidemics. I must say, especially when it comes to young children. So I think they're doing a good job with that.
All right, fantastic. I would love to hear your thoughts also. You see, this is actually a big story, Julie. Because still on the Saturday Nation, they've decided to carry also that big story where a man fails in bid to stop pay to his ex-wife at Supreme
you know,
Court.
when a man is in distress, it's always a big story, isn't it?
But if it's a woman, it's the other way
It's
around.
a woman, they're like, okay, page 32 maybe, like a small brief. Woman complains because man has done something really bad. The other side is different.
All right, let's see. Let's look at one more. There's a fantastic, opinion piece on the Daily Nation, get-rich-quick schemes ban of youth. Now, here's the thing. Allow me to read probably like a paragraph of it. Late Saturday night, Nairobi was grey and grimy as usual. It is the day too that I received an interesting call. The caller, a young man above 22 years, requested to hold court with me. His voice quivered with urgency. He came to my office. My guest, let's call him Mike, has a diploma in engineering and has a friend almost his age who is doing very well. According to Mike, the lad rolls in SUVs and lives in an upmarket apartment. This whole issue of young people living large, living lavish, which is still okay, but at the expenses that they could be living below their means.
Yes.
At the expenses that probably the channel in which they are getting funded, it could not be right. And this is just comes after just a week within this same week where we saw in universities, dorms in universities being changed into prostitution brothels. What are your thoughts in regards to this, just from like a young person's perspective on these two stories?
I think I call it the Kim Kardashian effect.
Ooh.
Or the IG effect. In terms of, exactly. You see people living large and you want to live large. You don't want to work for it for like 10 years. You want it to happen immediately. So however you can get it, you will get it. And it's not only young people. It's middle class, so-called middle class people who are in debt to appear like they're living well. And it's something that you need to switch in your mind and find contentment in your spirit, sorry to sound like a pastor, and not feel like you have to keep up with people who are faking it. That's why I'm saying the Kim Kardashian IG effect is not real the way some people pretend their lives are. And your life doesn't have to be opulent to be... You don't need opulence to be content.
Right.
It's the simple things in life that make you happy. But then our government is also in debt, ridiculously. So maybe the trickle-down effect of let's all get in debt.
Felt.
Yes, but I really think that people need to differentiate between a fake view of life and reality. Yes, live your life within your means and just try and find your happiness there.
Okay, so away from the pop culture news, there's one more story on the Standard that I feel like is so important before we close it that got my attention. It's on page 10 and page 11.
Yeah.
So here, listen to this. Pregnant pause. That tasty stone that you eat, that pregnant women eat, the grey one, is not safe at all. All right? So here's a fact file before I get Julie's thoughts, because she's also a mom. You know, she would know that better. But listen, 1.5 million women give birth annually. 65% are estimated to take soil stones. Each woman is estimated to eat about 40 grams of soil in a day.
Wow.
What did you crave?
I didn't crave soil, thank God. Have you heard that joke that if you eat soil when you're pregnant, you'll give birth to a land grabber? Stupid joke. But anyway, very stupid joke. I didn't crave soil. I craved everything else that was oily, deep fried, full of carbs or sugar. I gained, I think, 40 kilograms. But I can understand that
the whole issue
of craving. I think there's calcium in that soil. There's something that your body needs to get from it.
I'm so sorry. You just need to repeat that one more time.
About the land. Okay, if you eat soil when you're pregnant, you will give birth to a land grabber. I won't say whose mothers must have been eating soil. I'll leave it at that.
Honestly, Julie, that has made my day. Okay. Away from that, quite interesting. But also, the reason why it's important for you to grab the Standard this morning is because on page 10, pain shock for families when mothers die while giving life. And this is a thing. Tomorrow we're celebrating Mother's Day as well. So you need to grab yourself a copy of this and get enlightened on a few things. Again, listen to this. How do they die? A majority, that's about 91% of women who die from obstetric receive suboptimal
pregnancy
care.
complications.
Pregnancy complications,
Birth
yes.
complications.
And still, half of them, 50% of maternal deaths are women who had been referred from another facility, mostly from level 4 to level 5 or 6 of healthcare facilities.
Right. So women are probably dashing to maybe the referral hospital in Eldoret or to Kenyatta National Hospital because of these complications during giving birth. And you know, people think that giving birth is natural, that you just go in there and pop out the baby, but it's actually a very dangerous time in a woman's life. The line between life and death is so thin and anything could happen. So when you go in there and come out alive, really you should thank God, not even your doctor, because it's a miracle of life, but it's really, really intensive, and it's a place where so many things can go wrong. But we really need to focus more on maternal health in the country, reproductive health. Because that's what women do. A lot of the time is they give birth, and much more needs to be done into the research, into the specialist doctors, into making sure that hospitals in the counties are equipped with doctors and equipment for when these type of eventualities happen. Because it's so sad when somebody's supposed to be coming out with a baby, and then they both die or the mother dies.
Oh my goodness, it's sad, truly. Now, the leading cause of maternal death is, like I've told you, obstetric. Oh, that word.
Let me see that word.
That word, Julie, help me with that word. This one right here. The leading cause.
Obstetric.
Exactly.
Hemorrhage.
And then 1 out of every 5 women die due to non-obstetric complications, mainly HIV and AIDS. Only 5 in 10 women who died had...
antenatal care. That's another big thing in terms of going to the clinic. Can you afford it? When you talk about universal health care, I think it's one of the big 4. Can mothers, wherever they are in this country, afford to be seen by a doctor or a clinician in the months before they give birth to tell, is the baby all right? Is the mother all right? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes? Other things we need to focus on. And of course, the First Lady is focusing on that.
Yes.
But I insist, again, we must demand more of our government to give us basic services. And this is one of their promises, and they should come through with it.
Thank you so much, Julie.
You're
Thank you for helping us go through the dailies this morning and just getting an understanding and feel of the local stories. So make sure you grab your local daily, especially the Standard. That's where all the top stories that we've looked at are inside there. Before we take this quick commercial break, let me just remind you, in case you're just joining us, of our Twitter poll question this morning, which is the basis of our conversation when we come back from this short break. Do you think that it's justified for men to continue paying spousal support after a divorce? Let me just read one quick comment. This is okay. Oh, okay, someone just says jail time it is. I'm guessing they'd rather go to jail than pay. Why support someone who is not helping you in any way? Men, why are we shooting ourselves in the leg when we know it is us and our boy child who will suffer all along? If you divorce, let loose and get another life. Okay.
Wowzer. Okay. Jail time.
Jail time.
I hope the Supreme Court is listening. Jail all these
Those
men.
are just some of the thoughts and feedback that we're getting from that intriguing question. And we'll be right back to talk to our lawyer to help us understand this just a little bit more, so stay with us. Let me